Hi everyone. I was lucky enough to be able to do a draft for Rise of the Floodborn on Friday night of release. Four-pack draft. All four packs Rise of the Floodborn. Let's get into it. Alright. Learned a lot from this draft. Didn't really know what to expect going in. I did not, really study the cards as well this time going around. And for better or worse, I was very high on Hiram Flaversham, and I think he still is really, really strong in the draft. Call it luck or not, you do need to get a few items, and I think I kind of strayed off the path of the correct items to get. So, just kind of looking through everything else. Yzma and Bearhound, that Queen of Hearts is also very, very strong. Probably is the correct pick. Um, but I was really, really high on the items. If you were able to draw it with a starter deck and a few popsicles, I mean, I had two separate games where I drew 6 cards with him, so very fun card to play with. I figured I'd give it a try drafting items. If not, Queen of Hearts is the clear pick there. Alright, evasives, clearly thinking, hey, there's plenty of Cruella and Jafar, but, sometimes the evasive cards just don't fall, so evasive is still plenty good. As I was going through this draft, there's just fewer 1/1s, or sorry, fewer 1-drops, and I don't know if it is correct to not play a 1-drop right now. Currently, I'm thinking that it is correct to, again, there's enough challenger cards. You can just make your weaker cards better. I think I was tempted to foil draft there, but not a not a playable card. Definitely wanted to try to be playing the game a little bit more this early on. So unfortunately, this was not the strongest of packs. Um, can't remember. Do I just take the Li Shang here? I mean, a Quest for 2 has some protection against evasive. It's not great, but it's a decent card. At considering there's just not a whole lot at 5 costs and more, at least not at the common slot. So plenty of 2-drops in this set. So if you can survive and just get to playing some larger things, you've got a good shot. I don't know that I would ever play Peter Pan's Dagger. Maybe there will. I wonder if challenging will have maybe a different aspect to it later in future sets. So, a few good cards. I'm seeing Cobra, Enchantress. Mother Gothel does have a lot of synergies in this set, I'll say. Definitely a lot of stuff you can do to build around it. I'm interested in foil doors, but again, it's a little too early to kind of be taking that kind of stuff. So here I think, Cobra Bubble is just a big body. I could argue for the Enchantress, go for a little bit more aggressive deck. Enchantress is just a good card. It's going to likely trade when they challenge into it. So, not unhappy with Cobra Bubbles. Just need some big characters. Really like that Pinocchio. It's a huge tempo. It's uninkable, but also I think the uninkables in the set are just strong enough that you are going to probably want to run, 4 to 6 uninkables in your deck. People are getting away with 8 or 9. I don't know if it's because the lower cost uninkables don't really matter as much, especially a card like Let the Storm Rage On. That almost doesn't feel like an uninkable as long as you have an opening hand that can get you to 3 and play it. It's like you get a card back. It doesn't feel like a problem at all. Um, Fairy Godmother, uh, solid pick. So the 3/4 body, I really like in this format. Obviously, there's a few 4/3s, but the 3/4s just stick around and can do some work. So Fairy Godmother is one, and Yzma is the other one. And then the 4/3s are Baloo and Prince Naveen. So there's the Yzma 3/4 body. Hercules, just a generic 2/3, and I think I, again, make the mistake of taking this Maurice's Workshop. This probably would have wheeled to me. Probably did not need to take it there, but I was definitely hoping to be in items. Unfortunately, the person to my right was also in items. All right, happy to see a Cruel there. Just a solid 2-drop with some evasive. Let's see. Yeah, nothing too exciting, but happy to get a Cruella. Verana's a solid pick. Basically Winnie the Pooh in this set. I'm not sure about the bigger Tiana 5/3 body. Might play with it a little bit and find out how I like that card. So yeah, pretty unfortunate. I'm sitting there with the Hiram and I have not really gotten any other items yet. So let's see. Take Owl. Squirrel's okay if you have a lot of synergy. I had good luck with it and certain situations, but I think Fairy Godmother, Arthur, all good cards. Looks like I go for the two lore quester here. I take the Arthur. I don't think I ever played it. Okay, I took the Squirrel instead. Interesting. Could also have just been the Owl there. This Queen of Hearts, I think, might be the better Queen of Hearts to shift than the Ruby one. Still got to find out all the villains. There may not actually be that many villains. Eudora is just a big body. Improvise good. Do I think I might foil draft here. Yeah. Go ahead and take the foil. Make the Snow White deck. Why not? Improvise could have been better. That Snow White is actually very playable, though. It's inkable, and um, the heal effect is actually very relevant. So, it's actually nice, strictly better than the Hercules and the I don't know how to pronounce it. The Boun from Ryan the Last Dragon. Bone. Bound. I don't know. All right. I underestimated James. I think James could have been a good card here, though I was ignoring it just because I wanted items. So took a Croquet Mallet, which I ended up running them. They're not great. And as much as I needed items, I don't think I was able to take something like a Peter Pan's Dagger. So do take the Mother Gothel, a very playable card. Clearly, having second thoughts there, but not gonna stoop to playing the Peter Pan's Dagger. Right, so there's a lot of that kind of challenger effect. You have like Last Cannon. I think it's the song that's the Sword in the Stone. Just kind of these cards that give 3 power for 1 turn, 3 strength. I just don't know if they're worth it because they don't cantrip. You don't get to draw an extra card, but it's kind of just like removal, right? Because there's nothing else. So I think those cards are worth reconsidering just because removal is very scarce in the set. So yeah, something to think about. Shere Khan and the Cheshire Cat and a foil bounce. Bounce, I love bounce in this format. Tempo is huge. I take the Cheshire Cat here. The Shere Khan might have been a legitimate, interesting pick. Um, Cheshire Cat, I did not find it to be incredibly effective. It's just so expensive, and then if you are behind, you know, the evasive 2 is not as useful because you're trying to vanish their characters. Uh, when I go over the deck and go over the matches, you'll kind of understand. While I definitely learned a lot, there's a little bit of difficulty in understanding how certain games went, just because um, I do think that this is a potentially a more bomb-heavy format than Set One. There are definitely cards like a card like Maleficent and Hades in Set One, right? Those are just such swings, but Maleficent is too difficult to play, right? Because it's expensive. If you get up to that late, then you kind of deserve it in a way. Um, whereas Hades is very very strong, just because 7 is much easier to get to, and that swing is huge. So I guess I should say there's more bomb characters, right? Because I'd still say Grab Your Sword is probably the best card. So that last pack, nothing too crazy. Same here. So, anyways, basically what I'm saying is that Hades and Maleficent are both legends. So while it's annoying to grab your sword with a rare, and you would see that often. Either hopefully you have it, but often your opponent has it. But in this set, there are many super rares, and a few rares I think that are I would consider bomb level, and then the legends. There are definitely many legends that are very playable in limited. Um, I can almost, I think it'd definitely be more than not. All right, this Minnie Mouse Diver rare is not very good. The 3 costs that quest for 2 is much better. I don't even know that I would want to. I mean, get it to shift your 1/3 into it, I guess, but yeah, let the Storm Rage on is the clear pick there. Just a very strong card that you can sing, get tempo, and draw a card. I'm still not sold on Noi. Somebody tell me why that card is good. I mean, it's slightly better Duke Weaselton if you have an item out. Right. Dinner Bell, I think I'm underrating, but still struggling to convince myself that it's worth playing these uninkables. In this case, I'm really tempted by the items. Looking at the format, the Sword in the Stone, I think might be worth trying, especially if you get like Mother Gothel, if you get some of these more tough, like high toughness things. Um, could be interesting. Worth seeing. All right. The struggle here is I just felt like the packs were really inconsistent. Just a lot of packs without anything that I can. It feels like there's kind of like in each cost there's like a few cards that are um, higher quality than others, and so if you get a pack like this where it's like look at these 3 drops, it's not very good. Um, I mean Robin Hood's a fine card, but not quite the synergies I was going for at this point. And maybe I should have taken that instead. Alright, somebody tell me if Pain and Panic, if they've had good experience with those. Like I said, I definitely do think that I do need to drop the hesitation I have with taking Uninkables. Definitely need to kind of push the limits there a little bit. There's definitely uh, it's definitely not the end of the world in this set to kind of just sit on 4 or 5 ink, because there just aren't that many cards that cost more than that, and you're really happy to have cards that cost more than that if you do have them. But you have you'll have plenty of cards to play in the 1 to 4 slots. I think I overrate Nothing to Hide here. End up with 3 of them. Ended up cutting one of them out of the deck just because it's too much. Another thing about this set is there are just a lot of characters that can quest for 2, far more than in set 1, especially at the 3 cost. I would say is kind of the sweet spot where there's just a lot of characters that can do it, and even a few at the 2 slot. I think one of the doors. Does he cost 3 or 2? The 2/3 that quest for 2. I'm not that comes into play exerted. I'm not sure if that costs 2 or 3. It might cost 3. But Doc costs 3 and can quest for 2. And like I said, there's just a bunch of 3 drops and many 2 drops as well. Like you got Enchantress, you got Noi, which is a rare, but then you have Duke Weaselton, sorry. So what happens is there's often boards with 3 or 4 characters that can all quest for 2, and games can end really quickly from there. And again, maybe I'm just wrong here, but it seems like a lot of these packs were just kind of boring. Just a lot of not a lot going on. Didn't feel like I got to really explore a lot of synergies, but maybe that's because I was ignoring maybe some of the actions. Um, you know, Lynn's probably just okay here. Um, yeah. just need some playable cards. Just taking cards out of Link. Just making sure I have the right number of cards here. This draft went pretty smoothly, no issues there. Yeah. Let me know if you've had the chance to draft this yet. A lot of stores are doing mixed set 1, set 2. Do you feel that's better than doing all set 4? I personally prefer all set 4 just because I think, I think the format's great. It's a lot of fun. There's a lot going on, so a lot more to think about. I think I'll hopefully be able to do one more of these next week, but then I'm unlikely to be able to play too much Lorcana until next year. Just a lot of family, a lot of holiday things going on, and that's perfectly fine for this time of year. Alright, weight set. Oh, doesn't matter. Got the Fairy Godmother. It's the clear pick. Fairy Godmother was so much fun to play with. Definitely a lot of different lines of play. Excuse me. A lot of sequencing issues. Sequencing considerations, rather. Because, you know what? Fairy Godmother and Cinderella's are pretty easy to get in this draft, and there's another 2-drop that can quest for 2. Yeah, Fairy Godmother with Cinderella's, the 3-cost Fairy Godmother, and then Shift. It's a good combination. That Felicia I very much underestimated. Or that card is just very good. It's so annoying. Being able to, yeah, some interesting choices here. Strength of a Raging Fire I don't really trust, but the fact that you can sing it is quite good. I think it's probably good for, 1 to 3 damage maybe. Little John, just very generic. Again, I'm, coming into this with unfortunately not too sure about, what the format looks like. And in that case, I just, take some good vanilla cards and see how they perform. Right. Yeah, there are a few feel bads with Ratigan, if they have Robin Hood or the Beast, but he's still just fine because, you know, probably not trying to curve into him, or even if you are, if you are racing, then just anything that quests for 2 is fine. And I think that there are definitely, I think I'd definitely rather be playing kind of aggressive decks in this format. There's definitely room to really go fast and kind of run away with games. So here, probably should have rated the Merlin Crab a little bit higher. Tigger's also okay. Charge is also okay. Charge actually feels much more like a piece of removal, just because your character doesn't go. I think I overrate Dr. Facilier a little bit. Yeah, it doesn't have the feel bad of dying like Ratigan does, but, questing for 1 is not great. I don't know that there's anything else in that pack that could have been instead, though. Foil, nothing to hide. I really like the card, so definitely may have biased me to taking it a little higher than I should. So what happens with the first draft, right? Gotta experiment a little bit. Otherwise, you won't know. Hard to evaluate cards without playing with them. Popsicle finally got one. And there wasn't too much else in the pack, so it was okay. But yeah, it's pretty rough. Just not the item support I really want because you're unlikely to get another hero, right? You need the items that are kind of just okay to play anyways. And to be honest, the last cannon did like the effect did happen, right? Like I said, like because I was forced to play them without enough maybe card draw or cycling to get to hero them regularly, I would use it for its effect, and it was okay. It wasn't great. Yeah, the weight set came back. That actually helped me out a lot, just because I was already trending towards larger characters. You can see I'm kind of checking out to see how many four four strength characters I have. Looks like only three at this point. Four, five. Oh, this is where yeah, Dr. Facilier and Radigan really kind of shine, just because play that weight set on three. Um, you had Prince Naveen, then on turn four you set your curve back, but I was really surprised that Pinocchio came back to me. That Pinocchio I do really like, just a lot of tempo. Like the ability is definitely worth the fact that you're paying 3/3 for 5 for an uninkable. It's kind of like the cat. I can't remember its name. I think it starts with L. Lucifer, maybe. It's a rare, but it's a 5 uninkable for a 2/2 that quests for 2. I think Pinocchio also quests for 2, and it's your opponent discards 2 cards or 1 action card. So pretty solid turn 5 play, or when they're getting close to 2 or 3 cards left in their hand. There's not too many other effects like it in this set. I mean, the other discard effects you see on the board, I think, like Daisy and Prince John. So I think Hypnotize is one, but yeah. Alright. Moving on to that last pack. And it's not that I didn't have bombs in this draft. Clearly, I had the Fairy Godmother, and let's see what we opened here. Mulan, definitely gained a lot of respect for that. Like I said, I think it's perfectly fine to run a few more uninkables, and Mulan with Rush, like removal, perfectly good. There's that dock. Do I rare draft the Cinderella? I hope so, because man, that Cinderella went up in price. I think that night I traded some away, and I traded them at, I don't remember, we'll do the prices, but I think they were only like $8 at the time, and now they're I think 17. I think I'd already opened many Cinderellas, so I might not have taken this. Take the Pete. I mean, I definitely didn't take the Cinderella, so. Wait, now I'm confused. Am I missing a card in my deck? Oh, no. I just have another Cinderella. My bad. That's a good feeling. Yeah. Lucifer there could have been a good pick. Again, I was definitely not on the uninkables here yet, so Daisy's a great card here. I don't think I ever drew her when I played, but that's just how it is sometimes. And that workshop almost definitely will wheel, so it's. Yeah, that being a first draft, it's very nice to kind of see these and reevaluate what you would do. And here, I mean, partially money wise, but even strength wise, I think I'd probably take the Pinocchio here instead of the Namari. The Namari has a very unique effect, but the Pinocchio is very powerful, and the Pinocchio has so much synergy with all your bounce effects. So yeah, that definitely could have, maybe should have been a Pinocchio pick there. I do wonder what I take here. Did I take the Card of Hearts here? Because I think the Judy may have been the much better pick here. Yeah, I think I take the Card Soldiers. Maybe really hoping to get that Judy back, but just take the vanilla. Perfectly fine card. Oh, I forgot about it. So there's three iterations of that exact card in the center there. That Piranha and Winnie the Pooh are all the same card. Yeah, so at this point, I'm not very happy with this deck. There's too many lower quality cards. Um, you really want to be, where are the 1/3 Minnie Mouse that quest for two that costs three? Cards like that. Cards like Caterpillar, the 1/3 that quest for three for three. There's just so many quality cards out there, and I did, miss chances to get some of those cards, like Enchantress I could have had. Now, basically what I'm saying is, I do think Hiram is still very, very strong. I don't know that I would, first pack out of a draft, I mean, even first pick out of a pack, right? Like, I would want to already have a few items like the popsicles that you're going to be drafting anyways, especially if you get them in the probably like the 4 or 5 pick range. I don't really want to be taking it too early. Lawrence is another card I want to try out. Magic Broom I do very much like. Very good turn 3 to play, where you get to uh, have your one of your 2/2s trade into theirs. Really good to like trade a 2/2 into a 3/2 or something like that. Or sorry, a 2/3 into a 3/2 and have yours survive. Yeah, that's really not want the card quality you want to be seeing in the last pack towards these last picks when it's still an early pick in the last pack, right? So again, how much is variance, how much is other things, or is it a lesson learned that you really got to prioritize those quality creatures like characters? Sorry, I think that's kind of where I am now. The character quality is just lower in this set, and then also kind of just bumping up. I think cards like this, Legend of the Sword and the Stone, um, might be much more playable than I realized. So excited to hopefully have the opportunity to draft this again before the end of the year and see if we can do better next time. Now, it's not that I did terribly. Um, I did end up 1-1-1, but sorry, this draft unfortunately is just a little slow and fortunately just not a lot of exciting cards. So trying to think what else I can do to entertain. Uh, will say it was quite funny playing just a ton of items and then playing several nothing to hide, so getting to see my opponent's hands. Nothing to hide is an interesting one because don't know how good it is. Very often it was just a turn one play to um, have a turn one play, and when you do that, you can kind of see what your opponent's going to play, but also for better or worse, they have the ability to ink a lot of the cards that I got to see. Honestly, that pick probably should have just been a Cogsworth instead of the workshop. I don't think I maybe drew 1 or 2 cards off the workshop the entire time, and they were kind of win more situations. I don't know if Bashful is really playable without other doors, but I think if you kind of look back through this, there were several Snow Whites. I think 2 of the cost reduction Snow White definitely could have done something there. So, anyways, that's the draft. So here's the deck.
Alright, here's the 8 cards that didn't make the cut. Nothing to hide. Dragon Gem, I'm stuck. Definitely was kind of considering this. Tempo play, it's not great. But, like, kind of, this is a card that conceptually is also, again, not removal, but it's like, hey, you can, you know, keep everything exerted, play your character, and then be able to challenge it the next turn. Tigger, I think, this card's better than I thought. It's not anything crazy, but just the 3/3 body is better in this format than I would think. So, another I'm stuck. We talked about this. Just maybe this is pseudo removal and should be more respected. Play more 1/3s. Maybe this should have been in the deck. Play more 1/4s, and then relying to that. Like it feels bad because you lose a card, but if your character is surviving, it's not so bad. All right, so the deck. Play the Cinderella. I don't know that I had that much to sing. I think let Storm Rage on, and then painting the roses, stuff like that. All right, have our items that are not high quality. Cantrip, bunch of cantrips, the one higher quality item, and an owl. So that's our 1-drops. Quite a few. Snow White, Cinderella. I still don't love this card, but with the Fairy Godmother synergy, it's perfectly good. All right, Mini, Squirrel, painting the roses red, another squirrel. I'm a little lower on this. The 2-1 body is nice compared to all the 1/2s going around, but still kind of eh. All right, Mother Gothel, if you have healing synergy, is very good. Just kind of generically, it's only so-so. Cheshire Cat is fine, and I shift here. Cruella is great. Last Stand is closer to real removal. Fidget is just okay. We have Fairy Godmothers, and Let the Storm Rage On is great. Weight Set is pretty solid. The fact plus it's inkable, so no complaints there. These workshops are not great. I don't even know if they're good enough in a constructed scene. Just the extra ink investment is a lot. I mean, you're paying 3 and then +1 to all your items to draw more. Don't know if it's quite good enough. As we're seeing in constructed right now, just Hiram plus popsicles and maybe Nick Wild is already enough by itself. So, kind of don't really even need this workshop engine. Daisy Duck is great. Like I said, I didn't get to play it at all, but there's body is perfectly fine for how strong this effect is. If you can activate it twice and they actually discard, you're probably on your way to winning. Talked about this. Good for weight set. Not that great of cards in general. These both trade with Fidget, for example. So, Radigan at least you can race with it, but that's what they're both common, so it's fine. Like that's kind of what I would expect from there. Now remembering rather that this could have been a Pinocchio, I feel kind of sad, but I got to play it a couple times and it was fine. It did what it needed to do. Right, it's on the board. You can banish an exerted thing. It's fine. All right, just the big bodies, the quest, big bodies, same thing, and talked about this already. Very good. Fairy Godmother, very very good card. If you're not very clear on what it does, you take your bust out this combo here, right? You take your Fairy Godmother. You have this in play. You play a Cinderella, so you can exert a character, and then hopefully you have another smaller character on the board already. And then you can shift your Fairy Godmother, and then quest, and then duel all your characters. Make sure they're in play first if you have a rush character. I made that mistake once. Yep. They get to challenge for 3 more and go back to your hand. Very strong effect. Good card. Little John, Pacha, generic cards, Cobra Bubbles. A little bit too many generic cards. Again, let me know what you guys think about this. I think if you don't shift it, it just costs too much at 8. So kind of feel like you need maybe some more Cheshire Cats to be worth it, or just accept that it's ink. That's a perfectly fine thing to do sometimes with your cards. So all right, a lot of lessons learned, lots to work on, lots to think about. Hopefully get to do another one of these quickly that's a little bit more coherent. Oh, I guess I should talk about the games real quick. Since I do have this deck that kind of goes does not go wide and goes to higher costs, My first round, I lost to Yzma, and then a Bibbidi Bobbidi Boo on that. Sorry, not on that Yzma. So yes, I got to draw 2 cards, but because I'm playing big things, I can only play one a turn anyways, and so I don't get any tempo back, and that was just huge. And the Yzma was played against me again in the second game. Not Bibbidi Bobbidi Boo, luckily that time, but again, my quality of cards was just only so. I won round 2 fairly handily. Was able to have weight set draw me a bunch of cards, draw the Doctor Facilier Ratigan, and kind of just take over from there. And then in the last round, we had very close games. I think unfortunately we were both tired, making a few mistakes. We each took a game, and then we decided to just split for the evening since it was getting late. And we were unfortunately unable to finish out those games. Uh, they were very close, and there was a lot going on. There's a lot of complexity, a lot more rules. Obviously, as we get more familiar with the cards and just have a better idea of stuff like that. One lesson learned for sure is that resist is very strong. Mouse armor is very strong. Uh, you know, lots of more synergies between cards in the set compared to set one, and that's what we want to see in a limited format. So very excited to do more. Very excited to see the future of this game's limited. All right, as always, thank you for watching.